Okay, so I think looking at it, the cover angle check, that was one of the ones that we have this at. We need to get rid of that because the target needs to be an input like the other ones. So let's make sure we have that set up. Ba-doop. And I want to check to make sure that that's working. Right? So they take cover. They shoot. And we come over here. Well, apparently they shot me good. So this here, they should be stopping this check, right? Getting the position of the target, I don't have every frame. That obviously needs to be running every frame. So let's make sure we set that to every frame. Alright, so let's try this again. They see us, they move in. Yeah, see it now they're like, oh my god, what do I do? Right? But there is obviously an issue happening here where they are returning some wrong covers. Right, so they are going through the cover manager. They're looping. The dot. Right, because we should be... Okay, so they found that one. Now obviously you would want to bake these things so they're not running through it. Because that's not cool. Right, yeah, so they're kind of going back and forth. And they're failing on the cover law. So that's one thing, is when we leave the cover, we're going to have to add, okay, cover is blown, right? As we leave, we're going to need to want to set that. That we've left it. We want to make sure we have to keep track of those, right? Or like I said, it's going to cause issues. Okay, so that's kind of one thing, but they shouldn't even be looking. Right, so cover is blown. Right, so here we're getting cover. We're getting a whole lot of skips. So it's not clearing. So that's one thing we need to do there as well. Okay, it is returning pretty much all of them. Possible covers. so now we have, yeah, so the array get random. That's okay, that's what's happening here. So array get random is fine. That's, you know, that's one thing, but we need to know, because if there's no covers, array length, or is there an array empty? No. Okay. So the array length, we need to get the length, and in compare, if the length is equal to 0, let's just use the pass. So pass, come over here, and if it's greater, then we can use, I don't know, done. Come over here. So now we can finish FSM, and we can also, let's turn that guy on. He's already into the nulls. You can also use these as a variable null. I like to do that just because it looks nicer, I think. Null. All right, so now if there is no array, it should be able more or less to fail. Yeah, see now I went, there was nothing there, so he just went to range combat, which is what we want. That's what we want to see. All right, so that's working now. Okay, so the other thing we want to see is, let's look at our random chance. Let's put this to 0.1 and 0.8 and 0.8. Let's run some options there. Let's make sure that side's working. Right, so we come back here. He'll come out and do the burst. Go in, and he should potentially at a high range. Let's check. So he's constantly getting a false. And we know that's not true because he's true. It went true on the reload. Still showing false here. All right, so we have some sort of issue there. And I've seen that issue before. I think what I'll do is I'm going to get FSM bool from action done, stored in action done, copy that, go into the random options, paste it before, and every frame, take this action done, and I'm not going to have it as an input anymore. Now I can get rid of that. Okay, so that should be a little more dependable. Well, they're over on this side this time. So he went into a change covers. Action's true. Oh, we need to obviously get back into this one and copy and bring it over here. Send event option 1, option 2. All right. All sorts of fine little tuning stuff to make things work right. There we go. They're in that spot. Take a shot. They just did a grenade from tall, which obviously, you know, doesn't actually exist. Change covers. Now they're on that side. Change covers. They went over here. Okay, so that's working. It's good. It's good. Okay. So let's grenade. Let's grenade tall. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is, well, we're going to need some sort of animation. So let's do throw grenade animation clip style, and not those. Rifle, there we go. Throw single, just like that one right there. So here we have throw. Let's give it a trigger. We'll call it throw. And if we get trigger throw, we'll do that and go back over there. So we have now throw. And one of the things I'm going to want to do is in the animation, right, let's see, where's throw? Make sure we're in the right one. Throw grenade single. So if we go to the animation, we find throw grenade single. Now we can go down to the events and say right about there. Let's send event throw. All right, let's apply that. And you know what? I know there is a nice little action which will make this look a little nicer. Physics shoot, I think it's called. Shoot missile. I think that's what it is. Yeah, physics shoot. There it is. Let's bring that one in. This will make things kind of cool. Hopefully. All right, so the idea of shooting is we're going to need, well, we're going to need a grenade. Let's see what we have. Something like that, maybe. Got lots of that stuff. There we go. Let's bring that in. There's our grenade. So what is a grenade going to need? It is going to need a rigid body, because we're going to whip it through the air. And it's already got a collider. And that's probably good. Just like that. So now it's going to need, well, we're also going to need particle effects, right? Like we have, let's take a look at this. Yes, even something like that. Okay, so I'm going to have this one just as is, I think. Give it an audio source, make it sound at least cool. something like that. Okay. We could pool this stuff. I'm not going to bother with that, I don't think. Like you should. You really should. But I'm not going to bother. Oh, I called that grenade. That was supposed to be grenade explosion. And this one can be grenade. Alright, so what do we want on the grenade? We don't want it to just explode right away. Let's let's collision event it. First, let's make sure that we're not hitting the player or the like the person that's throwing it. So I'm just going to put a tiny little wait, 0.25 seconds. So now we can do a collision event. Collision event on any tag, that's fine. Send event. Actually, you know what? We don't even need to do collision event. Come to think of it, like we're a grenade. Let's just go after 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Call it good, bucket. And then create this. Well, at us. And then let's destroy self. Just give ourselves a tiny little weight. Something like that. Oh, just like that. Alright, well, there's the grenade. Original prefab. Get rid of that. Go into here. So if we have under our animations, there is all that. We should have alright, let's just make another one, I suppose. So under effects, let's add a state, and it needs an event called throw. Like that, and we can do physics shoot, or I guess create object first. So we're going to create an object, the grenade, and let's get the bone of the owner, right hand, right foot, that would be interesting, right hand, there's the right hand, and our spawn point is going to be at the right hand, and this is the grenade. So we get our spot that we're making it, we spawn it at the spot, store the grenade, physics shoot grenade, this shows the thing. I'm going to put that to none. So here is some neat kind of stuff. So really the easiest thing to do is get an FSM game object. Right, let's get from the actions target, get distance, from ourselves to target, that's distance. Doesn't need to be done every frame, just once is fine. And we can give this a bit of randomness if we wanted to, but I'm just going to put that in as the range. There we go. So as an example, well, let's hit play, and I'll force this guy to throw a grenade. He doesn't have a target. It's just going to whip over to the... So, okay, first we'll have to give them a target, which is us. All right, so now they have a target. If I go into the animator and I set throw, they whipped a grenade. Where the hell's my mouse? Uh-oh. Can't find my mouse. Control P to the rescue. Alright, so let's go to the animator. Oh, it's probably bouncing off the wall. Alright, what's happening there? So they're getting to there, getting the distance, create the object, obviously. Everything looks there like it should be working. All right. Let's dun, 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 dun. All right. Well, we'll come back to that. There's probably some reason for it. So let's go into our action. So in our action, we have grenade tall. So grenade tall is, we don't need to run those. We don't need to run the angle, but we need something like this, right? So I'm going to open that guy up. And we're going to create a new FSM. And this one's going to be for the grenade. So there's various things that need to happen, right? Like getting starting position, we're going to need that. A lot of this stuff we don't need per se. We don't really need any of this. We don't need reload, right? We're not checking weapons. So that's not an issue. Wow, we could check ammo, like we could check grenades. I'm not going to have that right now though. So far it's very basic. Move into range is the distance. I'm not even going to bother with that. What I will do is, we don't need to worry about that. We're really not even doing that. We are simply running to our position, to our fire position, just like in the shooting. We don't need that. We run back to our cover. And then we finish FSM like that. It's like a cycle, a little cycle. Right now, obviously, the shooting part doesn't need to happen because, well, let's just get rid of it. Once we've moved into position, all we really need to do at that point in time is we have target, which we might not have, but it's an input. So okay, well, we'll have that, and we smooth look at the target, and let's put a finish to that. So now we're looking at the target. Once we've looked at the target, set animator trigger. To throw. Get rid of that one. Do a little wait. I don't know. I think it was maybe roughly 2 seconds. And then when we're done, run back into our thing. Call it good. All right, so this is throw grenade high. Now we'll probably have to clear out some of the variables and stuff on it, but that's fine. That's okay. Run FSM. Throw grenade high. Right, so we don't need the cover, but we do need the target. We don't need the weapon. We don't need the action done. All right, so what do we have in here that we don't need? We don't need attack range. We don't need our ammo. We don't need the distance. We don't need has target. Don't need the weapon. Don't has that. All right, we can do the same on the events too. If we're not using them, get rid of them. Might as well. There we go. And the cover we need. And the size. Available openings we need, and the finish event we use. There we go. So that should work for that side, other than having the weird kind of issue with the grenade flying wherever the hell it wants to go for some reason. All right, so they come out, they shoot. He wants to throw a grenade. I seen that grenade. I seen it go by. Alright, so there's definitely something weird with this. So normally, I mean, physics shoot normally it works quite well. I'm going to try to add a little look at. Going to make the grenade look at target. Keep vertical is fine. Every frame isn't needed. Comes out, shoots his gun. Just changing cover a few times. There we go. That's what was needed. All right, so that's cool. I mean, the angle was a little high. We could probably bring that down. The other thing I think we should change on that is I think the time. Go from 3 maybe to 5. All right, I think overall it's probably fairly decent. So, I better save this. I haven't saved this for a while. Laugh, like computer crash or some fucking thing. So, if this is kind of working, that's kind of working, those are kind of working, range combat's kind of working. There's some communicational stuff that needs to kind of fly in between these that we have to add. So the range combat's short, right? Like here we have this, and this gets that stuff. I mean, it's almost the same, right? It is definitely going to have some differences. So let's copy that, add a new FSM, paste that. Okay, so he is start state. Right. So in here, what do we have? Let's come out here. So in the tall, we have random options, cover angle check, run to cover, get cover. So here, yeah, I mean, here we're going to have kind of three options, I guess you could say. Because all of this is technically normal for the most part, right? We can move to the same spot. You know, like we can move to the fire position. We're going to take slower speed because we're crouching. And, you know, we do our shoot, run back, and we're crouching. But we may not necessarily want to run side to side, right? So there's another option we can add in here, and we can say send random event, and we're only going to have two, and this is going to be stand or sides, right? And we can adjust these if you want to put them in as variables. You can totally do that. I mean, it's probably better to do that. I mean, I'm not going to do that because it's really just not needed. But you could definitely add some variation there. So if this is to run to the sides, we're getting the position, we're running to the sides. Now, if that's the case, what is standing? Standing is set animator bool is crouching to false. Do a little wait. You know, a second might be a little long, maybe 0.7 seconds. You know, finish that off, and then just come down here. And when we want to move back, we should move back, and you know what? We could probably just copy and paste this above to true. All right, and I think that should be fire from low cover, or however we named it the last time. We should probably try to stick that to be relatively the same. And that's not the same apparently, because I'm sure I named the other one differently, but whatever. So fire from low cover. So we have our cover, we have our target, and we have our weapon. We have our array of spots. There's action done. And there we go. That should work. Grenade short. I mean, there's a few different ways to do that. If you have the animations to throw a grenade while still crouched, you know, might be something cool to add. So what I'm going to do with this guy is I'm going to take this and cut this down. Take both of those. Take those to 1. Now, very important when you're playing with those covers is this position, right? Like, because ultimately that's the spot that the AI is trying to get to when you say set position. So if that's not right down on the ground, you're going to have issues, right? And this guy, I mean, technically he's sitting there. I mean, I guess we could do that. And then move these things both up like that ish. Well, they're somewhere around there. All right, so let's save and let's test that. So we should see a little bit of a difference, right? Like they should be crouching when they go in. Jesus, freaking killed me. Got to put a little bit of a delay. And I'm not seeing much of them trying to move to the sides. So let's take a quick look. Oh, they're in ranged combat. Oh, that's weird. So let's get into here and just say, okay, if we are that's fire. We want, wait, no, yeah, we are looking at fire. Okay, so firing from there. If we are stand, so let's delay that a little longer, even just a second. I'm going to take this up a little bit though. All right, so let's see, tall or short. Something obviously didn't click there. So there's various ways. I mean, we could just add a bool and do a bool test compared to getting the sizes. So right now they're in range combat. Yet they still want to crouch. So I'm not too sure why that is. So let's put a toggle breakpoint. Because if they're crouching, they must have came into this guy. So I think that's the only way that they're able to get the short for the animation. So they run. They come into here. They keep coming in here. They're getting cover blown. Oh. Well, how about them for apples? So, cover angle check, we need to actually assign, you know, various things for starters. How about them for apples? And obviously when we come out, we need to communicate to the system that we need to stand now, not, you know, there we go. So we're crouching for a little bit of time. We come out. She chose a side. She went to a different cover. standing, she just doof and crouched. Okay, that's working pretty good. Can adjust some times on it. And not that one. Let's get into here. Let's bring this back down. Let's go 0.6. And that is true. Okay, I think that'll be fine. We don't gotta go too nuts. So if cover is blown, right? Because if we've come into here and we're leaving, kind of like this thing, we're gonna have to use this. Actually, you know what? Let's because they're going there anyways. You know what we could do even is in here. If we're going in here, let's just make sure set animator bool is crouching to false. There we go. I mean, if you're coming out of here, it's going to be false anyways. You're not actually doing anything, but it's just kind of an easy way. Double checks everything, right? If we go option here, if we change covers, so we get that. If we have no cover, we're going to need something there. This guy here. Yeah, so I don't know. I think if we change covers, but that kind of depends if we want to go short or tall, right? So I think having this one, if we're in tall, I'm going to put it in here as well to be false automatically. And that way it doesn't really matter where we go here. And if we're in here, I'm also going to put it up here as false automatically. Regardless of anything, if we're bouncing around, let's make sure we're standing. You only want to go crouch if here, or you know, maybe in other certain cases. Okay, so what about grenade? Well, in the ways of grenade, we can copy this, copy, and let's make a new FSM. All right. So again, we have this kind of idea, right? Where we're going to run to a fire position, but we may not want to do that, right? Because that's one of the benefits of the cover, of having the low cover, is we can send that random event, right? Go to sides and stand. So we have those two, and let's say sides is only a 0.3. Most of the time we're going to want to be standing. So for sides, everything's normal. If we're standing, set animator bool is crouch to false. And then we can go down here, throw there, run to cover, and while we're doing that, let's make sure we are crouching again. It doesn't matter if we went either way, we're still going to need to be crouching, just to double check. Okay, so that is save template. Throw grenade short. And no, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get into our actions. Come along here and run FSM. Throw grenade short. Our cover is our cover. Our target is our target. Our positions are there. And we have our finished event. Alright, so now we can throw, change covers, have ranged combat, and cover combat. And if I take something like this, I can, for example, duplicate. Now, normally you would mark this thing as static and bake it so that your AI it will actually move around it. Right now I'm not doing that because I'm just playing around, but alright, so they are there. Hopefully they don't kill me so I can test a few things. Oh, you a-hole. I mean, timeline wise, I mean, everything's starting to look better. Oh, decided to whip a grenade out that time. Right, and we could always have an inventory of grenades if there's only a max of 3. Add that for a check. You know, that all works. Alright, let's grab our player, even though I'm dead. And I'm going to move them. Look at that, they went and moved to over here. I'm going to move them over here. And, wow, look at that, I'm behind you. What are you going to do? Oh, you're going to run over there. Okay, that's pretty cool. Probably use a little more delays, a little less grenades. But working pretty good, I must say. I don't say so myself. Okay, so these guys will fight forever, right? I mean, that's kind of, I mean, we has the target thing, and we kind of almost need to have has target. But if we use has target in here, in the combat, if we look at the brain, and if we have lost sight, what do? We do all sorts of neat little things. We get the memory. And if we can't see the player, we go through the cycle of the memory, and in the end we set it to false. So we can't necessarily use that system in here. So instead, I think what we should probably do is we almost need another system for if we're in ranged combat, or just completely alter the line of sight method. Right, because it's going to be, because if the player takes cover, we still need to react to them, and if we lose them or if they die, we need to come out. Right, so I mean, one of them is super easy. We can add an FSM, and let's yeah, I mean, we can make a template of it, why not? So let's just go like this. Playmaker, state machine, get FSM int from the health. Oh my god. Health. There we go. Health. All right. Oh, whoops. And on this is going to be a target. Target's going to be input. Go figure. And int compare. is health is 0, that needs to be every frame. If it's equal, target dead. If it's less, target dead. And that's it. Target dead. Come over here and send event to the host. Target dead. All right, so I'm going to save that. Target is dead. Let's get rid of that. Let's get over to our actions. So this really only matters if we're in range combat, right? We have target is dead. There's our target. And this also matters if we are in range combat tall. This also matters if we're in range combat short. And we have the event that target dead. So we need that event. Now with this one, I'm gonna just make it a global, and I'm gonna bring it over here. Like that. Now when that dies, or that thing dies, because our sight, hopefully, it is checking our health. I would hope. So it should be on top of that already. If not, I mean, that's something we would have to add to that. That the health, when it's doing its checks, also looks at player's health. Because now we should have it where we have died. Oh, okay, so now we have this crazy loop. And that's going to be because the player is dead. And this thing hasn't flopped over. It's still true. So that's obviously an issue. So brain-wise has sight. What do we have here? So target. All right, so what we need to do is in this distance check for very close, distance to player. So in here, the other thing we could probably be checking is not only the distance, right? Distance to player. So we see this, right? Because let's not check. Oh no, check for very close. This distance to player, but we're also going to want a get FSM int and a int compare. Right, so just like how we had it set up before in the template, we can't quite use that template in here for how it's set up, unfortunately. Where the hell's my player? Is going to be, we are dealing with the hit object, right? Result is target. So target has an FSM name health, a variable name health, and it has, that can be stored as health. In compare health to 0 if equal, they are dead. We don't need to do anything. If not equal, they are alive. We can do something. All right, so now we can So, right, so if they're alive, we can do that. But if they're dead, we're just going to skip them in that side of that site. And if we're here, so we have the target. We come over here, we have the memory. We set has target is true. And that part's going to need to change right there. Because over here we have no, not necessarily. This has seen something. We have seen something. This thing finishes. Seen something. I remember how I set this thing up. Oh yeah, finish event is seen something. Okay, yeah, so I'm right. So over here, if we've seen something, this guy pops up, comes over here, this guy sets the action. Alright, so really, I guess the biggest thing we need to do when we die is we really need to change our layers. Because over here, in our site, we have a layer mask of 8. Right? And over here, if we're in this cycle, if we can't see player, we do a cycle. Right? It's kind of during this cycle, this guy here, prior to that, we kind of need to copy that little piece of logic in here. Copy. Right, we need to kind of bring that in. Because if he's alive, it's good. But during the cycle, we can go up here, and if he's dead, you know, we might as well just come back down here. But on the player, that's where the main thing is going to need to happen. When we die, we set tag, and we should be setting our layer so that we can't be seen, not just our tag. Right, and I do believe I have a dead layer. Yes, so there we go. We're going to set layer to dead. Right, so we died. Crazy Girl's like, whoa, what the hell's going on? Oh, we have another seed loop. And that's because target died. It is false now though. Right? It does, that does work. So I think what we should do here is, because of that delay, let's set target dead here. Get rid of it here, so we're not testing it right away, and do a next frame. Right, so we've stopped our attacking here. Let's let the brain sight and all that pick up first before we go and test things. I think that should work just fine. I can't see shit. The other thing is in that one state, we should make sure that we're also standing as well. That's another good state that we can check for standing. But see how they're like, oh, okay, I'm over here now. I'm just going to go back to my wandering. So that's working just fine. So I am going to copy and paste that in here. Let's make sure we are not crouched. All right, so the only other thing that would really kind of matter is if we want to change weapons. Right, so we could have numerous weapons on here. How long has this video been going on? Oh my god, we're already over an hour. I should probably end it there. But I mean, we could make another FSM. Maybe we'll do this in another video where we can swap weapons, and maybe over here we can run another one of these things, only do a patrol system. But beyond that, I think we're sitting pretty good. Maybe I'll give it a couple days before I make another one. But there's a pretty good, so far, pretty good cover system that does a fair bit. So we'll catch you in the future.